Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special of WOWSA Live with guests from all over the world. Antonio?
Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, donde se encuentren. Es WOWSA Live.
Yeah. Welcome. Good morning or good evening. I'm not quite sure which. Stephen, you're over in Australia, so.
It's evening, so it's good evening from me.
Got it, got it. And you have one more channel to complete the Ocean 7, and it's a tough one, but you have plenty of experience in the North Channel. Could you explain to us your experiences there?
Yeah, the first time was that I attempted it was 4 years ago. I went with Quinton and we got just over halfway across, and I, obviously got hypothermic and I had to pull out. Then the next year I was to go back and to do it, but I dislocated my shoulder, and so I couldn't go, which was very disappointing because I was very well prepared that year. The following year I went and I attempted, but you know what it's like when you're doing a swim and you're not mentally prepared, and you get into it and you think, why am I doing this? It's just not right today. And that's what happened. I was in there for around 4 hours and I thought, this is just not working for me. And I just got out. And thankfully, my boatman was able to say, look, if you want to stay around, in a few weeks' time, we'll do it again. And, no charge, we'll just do it again. So I stayed because I thought, you don't get that opportunity very often.
Right.
So I stayed and I attempted and got within 2 kilometers of the coast, and then I sunk. I disappeared, and I needed to be fished out of the water, and I can't remember anything about that. And then I ended up in hospital on life support. So it was quite hard. So.
Wow. What do you think was the difference in your mindset from that, the first attempt where you just weren't there, and then the second one or the fourth one or whatever, when you really gave it a good go?
Yeah, I mean, when you don't have it together on the day, little things just play on your mind. You think, oh, I'm feeling a bit sore, or I'm feeling a bit sick, or I'm feeling tired. Things just get, and then your mind gets the better of you in the end. I mean, this is not just a sport of being physical; it's a sport of getting mind over matter, as we all know. And if your mind starts playing games with you, you're gone. And I was that day.
Got it. But on the day that you gave that very valiant attempt, things were clicking. Things went well.
Well, I was ready to do it, I was very surprised that I didn't. And when I see pictures afterwards, and I can see the land just there, I thought, oh my God, I was just so close. It's just awful.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Now, when you're swimming and you're getting hypothermic, but you don't remember the finish, what was that process between being very conscious, knowing exactly what was happening, and then not? What was that like?
It was very strange, and it was just like night and day. I was in the last stop, which I had with my crew. They said, how are you feeling? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling cold or anything? I said, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling cold, but I'm feeling good. And then that's the last thing I remember. And then after that, it was just gone. And so my body just couldn't take it anymore, obviously.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Now, for people who don't know you, you've done all kinds of things besides the English Channel and Cook Strait. You've done three-way crossing, a very famous three-way relay crossing of the biggest lake in New Zealand. You've done Rodneys Channel in Western Australia. I don't know how many times.
Many. I've done 17 as solo and once as a double crossing. So
wow,
yeah,
wow.
It's done quite a few.
Yeah. For people who've never been to Australia, or especially Western Australia, and don't know about the Rodneys Channel, can you explain that?
Yeah, it's really an iconic event. It's for people who haven't been to Australia and been to California. Perth is very much like Los Angeles in terms of climate and temperature,
Okay.
and so we're very blessed with a beautiful summer. And so in the middle of summer, you have this race which goes from the mainland to Rottnest, and Rottnest is about 20 kilometers from the coast. And it all depends on the conditions, depending on how fast it's going to be. And there's around about 3,000 people all up swimming that swim. Not all solo, there's a lot of teams, but there's probably these days around 200, 300 people doing it solo. So there's a lot of people, a lot of boats, and it's actually really a fun event. If anyone that wants to do open water swimming and wants a good place to go in the world, it's a great swim to do.
Yeah. Do all of these people start on the same beach at the same time in Perth?
They start at the same beach, but they have a 10-minute break. So everyone goes off in. So basically, there'll be about 100 people going off at a time. So it starts at around 5:45 in the morning and goes till probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock by the last people to leave.
Wow. And as you're leaving the beach, how do you know which boat is yours? Which escort boat?
You don't. That's the hard thing. And, a lot of people used to have balloons and things, but because of the environmental issues regarding balloons now, no one can have balloons. So you just swim out there and just hope. You think it's going to be out there somewhere.
Oh, wow. Now you did a double of this. Did you go from the island to the mainland first, or what was your course?
Yeah. So because I did it on a day when I can decide when I want to do it, the conditions were best to do it from the mainland to Rottnest and then Rottnest back to the mainland. And I had thought about doing it before, but I never felt in the mood for it. But that day it was absolutely fantastic. It was a beautiful day, and I felt as though I could have done 3 or 4 circuits that day. It was just fantastic.
Got it. Now, Antonio, because you were both actually right at channel number 6 in the Ocean 7. And Antonio and you and right at the edge, And Rohan from India were right at the edge. And then you got in an accident. How does an athlete just so close to the finish deal with an accident and then come back?
That was actually really difficult for me. When I failed the North Channel the last time, and I actually felt like giving up swimming. I felt that my whole world had fallen apart. Because the few years leading up to that was all leading to that swim, and it didn't happen on that day. And so I felt that I hadn't just let myself down, but I'd let down my team and everyone around me. And I just wanted to bury myself in a hole. It was awful. And it took me a long time to get out of it. I'm out of it now, and certainly I'm willing to give it another go. But now I've begun to realize that life was very important, and because my life was threatened at that time, I had to think about the people around me and people that rely on me as well. These days, if I'm going to do anything like that again, I would do it as a fun thing. I would do it knowing, okay, I'm going to have fun. If it doesn't happen, doesn't work that day, say la vie, it happens. But I've had to change my mindset, so I'm not so serious about it all.
Yeah, and your team, the people around you, are you talking about your lane mates, the people you swim with, your family, the greater community?
A lot, because there was a lot of people behind me, and also the press in Australia got behind me. I certainly didn't invite them, but they got to know what I was doing, and so they were following me around. writing things about me, filming things about me. And so there was a lot of pressure on me to succeed. And when I didn't, I just crumbled. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Now, let's go back. How did you get started in swimming? What was that? Were you a child and you jumped in?
Yep. I started, I mean, my parents are both swimmers. So I was basically pushed off the end of a jetty and, and there you had to swim. So I learned to swim at a very young age. And I was swimming at a state level and close to an Australian level. And mainly a 200 butterfly was my swim.
Okay.
I never thought of doing open water swimming. Back in the 70s, when I was doing my swimming originally, it was all pool swimming. There was very little open water swimming events. But that's all changed.
But after swimming the 200-meter butterfly, open water swimming was easy.
Yeah, well, you say that, and it's actually quite funny, Antonio, because I came back into swimming in my late 30s, and because I'd given it up, and I just came back because I wanted to get fit and just to feel young again, I suppose. And when I was 42 years of age, I was doing faster times than I was doing when I was 17, and I felt as fit as I'd ever been in my life, and I thought, wow, this is something.
Wow. Do you think, I mean, that's unbelievable, but it's very rare. I mean, 42 versus 17, was it a fact of training, technique, man strength versus boy strength? What do you think it was?
I think there was a bit of man strength versus boy strength, but it was also, as an adult, I was enjoying it. As a child, I wasn't. And I think that had a lot to do with it. Enjoying it and enjoying, well, when you're doing a 200 fly in a swimming pool, obviously it's a very competitive event. And I was enjoying the competition in the pool at that time.
Got it.
Before I went into the open water.
Yeah. What was your, I'll say first major open water swim?
It was Rodneys in 20 years ago. Yeah, It was Rodneys 20 years ago, and I had done a few small open water swims around Perth in Western Australia, and enjoyed them and did really well with them. So I thought, anyone can do this. This is easy. I can do now 20Ks, and I had never done anything more than 3Ks before in the open water. So it was a bit of a shock, and once again there was a lot of pressure on me, and I did okay, but I didn't do as well as I would have liked. But with open water swimming, they talk as though it's like childbirth. You're doing pain and you feel awful at the time and everything, but you get over it. The next day you think, maybe I'll do that again, or I'll do it this way, I'll do it this way. And so after that event, even though I didn't do it as well as I would have liked, I thought, I'm going to give Manhattan a go. And stupid, but I thought, well, I'll give Manhattan a go, which I did that year, and ended up running into a pier and splitting my head open. So, so I've had a few disasters in my time.
A few encounters.
Did you get cut, or you just smashed into it?
I split my head open, and so I ended up in the NYPD. They had a helicopter. They took me to the hospital, and I was in hospital for a few days. They thought that I had a heart attack, but only because of my heart enzymes were elevated because of being in a marathon swim. But no.
Oh wow! Wow.
And then I came back.
Yeah.
And
take us to
that happened before you finished or on the swim?
It happened about 3 kilometers before I finished.
Oh no, Steve.
Yeah, I know. This is my life.
Just out of curiosity, you had a kayaker near you or a escort boat? And
there might have been a few mistakes with that, which I won't go into.
Okay.
So,
yeah. And then
I haven't used it again, put it that way.
Yeah. Antonio was telling me about your great year-round pool, if it will. Can you explain where you train?
Yep, it's called Greens Pool, and it's in a bay in just off Denmark in southwest of Western Australia. It's a beautiful location. It's crystal blue waters, fish everywhere. It's just like swimming in a fish bowl. And it's got a rocky outcrop, which is several hundred meters out from the beach. So it's fairly protected. So we feel that sharks shouldn't come in there too often. So we feel a bit protected.
Yeah.
So that's where I swim.
Yeah. And what is the water temperature range from coldest to warmest?
Yes, in summer it probably gets to around 19 degrees, which is lovely. And then in the winter it can get down to around 14, which is not too bad. But when you get an air temperature sometimes in the mornings of 2 or 3 degrees, then the wind chill can be cold. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds ideal for a channel swimmer if you're training year round
It is.
between 14 and 19 degrees.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm very blessed.
when do you work out? When do you train? What's your day like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very organized person. I get up normally around 5:30 in the morning and try to get down to Greens Pool. And if I'm training for anything in particular, I'll try and do around 2.5 hours swimming. If I'm not, then I may only do 1.5 hours. So yeah, and then I would normally do it between 5 and 8 times a week. So
Got it. Got it.
enjoy it.
When you train, obviously when you were a 200-meter butterflyer, probably training with a squad and doing all the hard training that Australian swimmers are known for. Now in the bay, swimming 2.5 hours, do you have any particular sets, or you just go out there and enjoy what you're doing?
I just go out and enjoy. I'm swimming by myself. There's no one else that I'm swimming with, and I just swim. I've got a circuit which I do. I know the fish, and the octopus, and all of the stingrays, and there are a couple of small sharks which I see. So I know them all. They know me, and we have a great time.
Got it. Got it. Got it. And
Wow.
what are your future plans?
I mean, being swimming in a colder area, so I'm able to do training for colder water swims. So I would like to be able to do. I mean, obviously, I'd like to knock the North Channel on the head at some stage. I was wanting to do it this year, but with the COVID situation, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So maybe next year. But there's a few cold water swims around the south coast of both here, South Africa and South America, which I'd like to knock on the head.
Got it. Got it. When you see a man like Antonio, Antonio, you're 1 or 2 years younger than Stephen, correct?
I'm 61.
61. And Stephen, what are you?
I'm turning 60 in a couple of months.
Okay, got it.
So Antonio's about a year older than me. Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So when you see someone like Antonio, a few years older than you, is that inspirational? Do you see him as a competitor? Do you say, God, he can do it, so I can do it? Or how is that? When you're 17, you're competing against other competitive swimmers. When you're, nearing 60, do you view other people around your same age group as competitors or inspirational?
A bit of both. I mean, when I see Antonio and when I've seen what he's done over the last 10 years or so, it is inspirational. There's no doubt about that. I mean, and it's fantastic. And so that can inspire anyone to do anything. But when you get to a certain age, you are swimming against yourself. And I think that I'm swimming more against myself. Because open water swimming is it's not swimming a race. You're swimming against the elements on the day, the conditions, how you're feeling, your fitness, the temperature, and your age. So you've got a whole lot of different elements that you're looking at. So I wouldn't say that I'm competing against anyone. I am competing against myself.
Got it. Got it. Now, Antonio famously is going to try the Catalina Channel with his grandchildren at the age of 85 or 90. Do you foresee yourself swimming as long as Antonio plans to?
Probably. I had no idea that I'd be swimming this long. I mean, my first big open water swim was 20 years ago, and I really did not think I'd be swimming still now. And also I've not had any, apart from a dislocated shoulder, I've never had any physical problems. You know, a lot of my friends have had shoulder conditions with swimming. I've never had any problems, and I think while I'm remaining fit and being able to enjoy the conditions, I want to keep doing it. It's a sport that I love. I absolutely love swimming. The feel of the water, you know, the thought of going in, I don't get off on that. But once I'm in there, and I just feel the water and just gliding through it, it's a luxury. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And go ahead, Antonio.
Especially when you have it in the back of your backyard. I mean, that you know, either I live in Mexico City. I have to drive at least an hour and a half to go to a swimming area. But Steve, I wonder. I thought you were, you know, it was really funny, Stephen, because I thought Steve was a veterinarian. Because when his accident happened, I remember calling you and saying to see how you were doing. And we were talking on the phone. I was in La Jolla. I really remember that. And I said, well, what happened? I mean, I just read that you had an accident. And he said, I went into the chickens. And he told me that you were doing embryos. So I was, you know, my father and my mother are veterinarians. And we deal with embryos as well. So I thought he was a vet and he was doing some, you know, research in the chicken. So do you have your chickens? In your backyard, you have chickens?
Yeah, I have chickens and ducks, and I have sheep, and because I live on a farm, and I have a vineyard, so I've got it's absolutely beautiful location where I am, and I've got dogs, cats, sheep, you know, you name it, I've got it. So it's probably, by thinking that I'm a vet, was probably pretty close, but yeah, I am an embryologist. I deal with trying to get people pregnant. Yeah.
So, wow, wait a second.
The picture I had from Steve that he lived in a farm and said, well, how does he swim? I mean, it was kind of complicated. So it's very nice that we're talking today, but now I know you have an ocean and the farm is just for fun. So that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I've never met a swimmer who does have an ocean right next to them sitting on a vineyard. That's classic.
Yeah, go straight from the water, come home, and then in the evening have a nice glass of wine, and then just start again the next day. It's just wonderful.
Wow. Do you market your wines?
Yes, we do. It's only a small boutique. It's Estate 807 Wines, but it's only a small boutique winery. We don't sell to many places, but you know, we make some decent wine, I think.
Oh, great! Well, then we'll get the swimming community to support you. Are your wines exported overseas or is just locally?
Just locally.
Okay.
To export overseas, you have to have massive volumes to make it worthwhile, and you know, we haven't gone down that path. Got
it. And Antonio, when you first heard of Stephen, and you're both going for the Ocean 7, what was your impressions of a man living on the other side of the world?
Well, I was very intrigued until today because I was saying, God, I mean, he really must love swimming because he lives in a farm. I mean, I was convinced that he was a veterinarian, and I couldn't imagine. You know, I said, God, I mean, he must really, really love it. And you know, we communicate several times. And then, you know, when he was in the North Channel, was the same year that Nora, who's with us, and Mariel were there. Okay. And so they said, "Well, finally met your friend Stephen," and I was very glad. You know, I hope you come to Mexico at some point to do some of our swimmings.
Please invite me.
You can bring him to Mexico. up to 6 liters of wine, which is 8 bottles of 7.50 milliliters. So you know, I can help you drinking the wine. Don't worry. We'll go swimming.
You've got a deal there, Antonio. I'm coming.
Well, Stephen, it's been
Perfect.
It's been a great pleasure talking to you and getting to know you, and we're all cheering for you, supporting you from various countries to for you to finally get that Ocean 7.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank
it's been
you.
A pleasure.
Yes, you keep on swimming, and you know, well, I'll invoke the North Channel gods for you the next time, and I will tell Quinton and Mark Hamilton to give you a boost and find you the best day. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Bye.